All right, Padres pregame thoughts. Padres and the Blue Jays finishing up this brief 3-game homestand, home series at Petco Park. Padres, they're trying to avoid the sweep. Game 1, Game 2, not a whole lot of offense. The last 3 games combined actually hasn't been good. Padres have scored 3 runs combined. They're not doing well with runners in scoring position. And this is going to happen to every team in baseball. And let's remember that before this, the Padres had one of the best offenses in terms of runs scored in the entire league. I know they had played 2 extra games, but still, they were scoring a good amount of runs. But there are games here where they're scoring 3 or less runs and they're not winning that game very much, like at all, right? So that's going to be the key. It's a good pitching matchup today. Chris Bassitt on the mound for the Blue Jays. Obviously, if you're a baseball fan, you know who that is. Like it's a not a huge name, but it's a big name in baseball. Um, you may remember him from pitching in Game 3 against the Padres in the wild card series against the Mets in 2022. Joe Musgrove gets the start for the Padres. I think tracking the velocity. I'm going to be at the game, so I'm not going to be able to see great like location wise. But is he hitting his spots? Is location good? Is velocity good? Is the break on the pitches? Does that look good? Is Musgrove? Is there any injury thing to be looking at? Like, is he going to be, moving around his arm a little bit on the mound? Like, what? I don't think it's an injury thing. I hope it's not an injury thing. But I just know that Joe Musgrove is a really talented pitcher. And so for him to be off to this start, sure, there's guys that get off to slow starts, but Musgrove usually just pitches consistently well. So it is a little bit concerning, but we'll see. I still believe in the talent, and I'm hoping that it's just a mechanic thing, and he's working through that, and he can have a bounce back outing today. Fewer base runners. Remember in that Milwaukee outing, he allowed a lot of base runners, especially early, and that elevates the pitch count. And he went 6 innings still. It was still a quality start, but it was pretty much like the worst quality start that you can have. So I know that Joe is definitely going to want to have a better outing today. For Underdog Fantasy, I have him higher 3.5 strikeouts. That's a pretty low number. I know Joe hasn't been pitching great, but I'm still going to go with that. I actually have 4 picks. Musgrove higher 3.5 strikeouts. Bassitt lower 1.5 first inning strikeouts. Bichette lower half first inning hits. And then Bogaerts, sadly, I'm going lower half first inning hits. I know that's a negative pick for a Padre, but like Bogaerts, he's going to have to show it. I know he got 1 hit yesterday. His average still 191, as you can see on the screen here, 505 OPS. Like one of those things is not like the other. You look at this lineup, sure, the bottom of the order, you got Tyler Wade at 513 OPS. I'd still like Paulie, like he's up, second time. Can we play this guy? I know he had the error last night, but can we play this guy? Bogaerts, yeah, 505 OPS. It's way off with everyone else. Tatis 860, Cronenworth almost 800. Manny over 700, Profar 851. That's what we want out of Xander, right? So hopefully he can turn it around. As I said the other day on pregame thought, I think it was yesterday on my pregame thoughts, he's working on it. It just hasn't been able to be transitioned into the game, So I don't know when that's going to come. Maybe it takes a series in Colorado for him to get going. But Schultz keeps batting him leadoff, continues to believe in him. Profar, he's behind Manny. Kim at short, Merrill in center, Camposano catching the day game after a night game. And then Wade is at third. Higgy caught a couple games in a row, so Campy a couple games in a row here. We'll see if he starts tomorrow in Colorado. Again, they're in a stretch of 13 days consecutive with games after having a day off every Thursday. So having starters go deep, scoring some runs, so maybe some other guys in the bullpen can throw and not have to tax other guys. That's going to be important. Matchup-wise, the Blue Jays don't have a ton of experience against Joe Musgrove. Justin Turner is the most, and Dalton Varsho. Both guys played in the National League West, obviously. Turner with the Dodgers, Varsho with the D-backs. And both guys have an OPS over 1,000 against him. In 13 at-bats for Varsho, 14 at-bats for Justin Turner. So if they're in the Blue Jays lineup, look for that matchup, key in on that matchup. Let's see what happens there. Hopefully Turner doesn't hit another home run like he did earlier in the series. Bo Bichette has an OPS over 1,300 against Musgrove, but it's 3 at-bats. Like, that's a small sample size. That's hard for me to really take anything into that. But yeah, Musgrove's 6.29 ERA, not off to the start that he wants to, but he can start to turn it around here against the Blue Jays. And really, it's just avoid the sweep. You know, we see that they're making progress, right? 3 straight series wins, Cubs, Dodgers, Brewers. They can't get the sweep against Milwaukee, and then they lose this series. Losing here, that's 4 straight losses. It just feels like, man, you take steps forward and then you're going to take steps back if they lose this game here. They still did take a step back anyway. If they win this game, they'll be 500, 12-12 instead of a little bit over 500 still. So it feels like it's still a step back anyway. A sweep would really, really stink.